All right, so it brings me great joy to sit here and talk about Hunter Labrada's amazing performance at the Tampa Pro today. Finally, the guy brought the package we've all been waiting to see. And it's going to be an easy win for him today at Tampa. And nobody really showed up that challenged him besides one person. We're going to talk about who that person is, and we're going to talk about the package that Hunter brought, and what type of potential does Hunter have now at the Olympia looking like this. Guys, do not forget to check out some of the best supplements on the market right now. OldSchoolLabs.com. I have two amazing products I designed with Old School Labs. Nitro 3D, which is our intra-workout, and Natty. You guys don't have to go to the dark side just yet because we have Natty. You guys could take this with no side effects. You don't need a PCT. You don't have to worry about suppressing your natural testosterone. This is very safe to use. And use my code NICKBS if you want to save and support. All right, so we are back here talking about Hunter Labrada's amazing performance at prejudging today, the Tampa Pro. And before we even get to the finals tonight, Hunter's got this win in the bag. He literally just said show up, go get his check, go get his Olympia qualification, pack his bags, and I guess he's off to Texas now to go try to beat Andrew Jacked. And that's going to be a real challenge for him, regardless how good he looks here, because Andrew is a tall task. Andrew is not going to show up like the rest of these guys did at the Tampa Pro. Andrew's going to be a big force, and Andrew wants that qualification just as bad as anyone else does. And even though Hunter just got his, Hunter said he's doing 2 shows this year because they want to do trial runs to make sure they get it down perfect for the Olympia. I mentioned before that there was one other guy at this show that looked very good that actually could push Hunter if he had a little more muscle on him, because John De La Rosa just missed the last couple of years of his professional career due to personal things, due to injuries, and he's back. If this was John De La Rosa's old form with the same amount of muscle that he had before he walked away for a little bit, I think this would have been a much closer battle because John looks phenomenal and he matches up really well next to Hunter when they stand next to each other. But the real difference in their physiques was, what I noticed was the most muscular, the front lat, and then the rear shots. Those are the shots where you could tell that Hunter is just much more muscular. I don't like to use the word bigger all the time because that doesn't mean you're a better bodybuilder, but he out-muscled John. John's got a lot of muscle, but Hunter's got a lot more muscle. And everywhere, like basically front and back, head to toe, Hunter's got a lot more muscle than John. But if John still had the same amount of muscle before he walked away from the stage, well, I think this would have been a much closer battle for 1 and 2, and maybe John could have beat him. But we saw a clear difference in size today and muscularity, and that's what happens when you walk away for a couple of years. You don't have the same fullness, the same pop, the same dense, hard muscle, but it doesn't mean John can't get it back eventually. I just think he needs a little more time. He just suffered a bicep injury last year, so it's hard to get that muscle back that quick, but he can definitely do it, and I think he should keep trying to do it because he's still got plenty of years to compete. But Hunter, he's going to go to Texas, and he's going to face Andrew Jacked, and I think this is going to be a real good test for Hunter. And this is the only thing I'm not 100% sold on with Hunter doing 2 shows before the Olympia, because I'm sure him and his coach Ben are going to push hard to look good for this Texas show because they don't want to lose to Andrew because they potentially could be facing him again at the Olympia, and they don't want Andrew to have any advantage at the Olympia mentally, and they don't want Hunter to be like, oh shit, like, do I have to go against Andrew again at Olympia and I just lost to him? You don't want to fuck with your own athlete either. So, that being said, I don't know if this is necessarily the best idea if they're still going to do Texas or not. Now, maybe things will change because they look so good here, and maybe they're like, fuck Texas, that's too dangerous, let's not even go there. I don't know. If I was Hunter, I'd be a little worried about going to Texas because if you lose there, it could hurt your stock. And if you lose there, it could hurt you mentally. But if you go there and you whoop ass, it could really help you. But I don't think Hunter really needs anything else right now. The only things I need Hunter to work on are this, and this is going into the Olympia he's got to work on. The front double, he's stretching out way too much. The arms are way too high. He's stretching out the abdominal wall too much, the core. The arms are just like too extended out away. Like they're like just everything is so stretched. I don't like that on Hunter. I like when Hunter is more dense, closed in, a little more reserved on letting the arms just like be so wide open and so high with the whole abdominal wall stretch. It flattens them out too much. It makes them look one-dimensional instead of 3D, like how he looks on other poses. Like he fixed the front lat, looks great. The side chest is better. The side tricep is better. The back poses are better. The most muscular is better. The ab and thigh is better. But the front double, I just don't like. I think he would look so much better if he maybe blew out, but blew down on the abs, not stretched out his abdominal wall, trying to pull a vacuum. And the arms are too high. They're too above the head. Your fist, in my opinion, should not be way above your head like this. I think it should be almost even, maybe a little bit higher than your head. Never like super high up. And I saw that going into the show. I did not like it. And I definitely don't like it on the stage. But everything else was pretty dialed in. Some idiots in the comments were like, oh, his stomach's still distended and bloated. Guys, you're looking at photos, you morons. You can't look at photos and judge a bodybuilding show. You can look at videos and give some pretty good criticism, but a photo doesn't tell anything. You have no idea when that photographer snapped that photo. The guy could have been blowing out the air of his stomach or transitioning, and maybe for a split second, the fucking photographer snapped the photo. You know what they do when they take photos? They hold that button down and it takes hundreds of photos, if not thousands of photos in seconds and minutes. So of course there's gonna be a bad photo in there. Of course, he's transitioning. The stomach's not gonna look perfect every second. That leads me to the Olympia. Can he look good at the Olympia? Hunter Labrada, I can see him definitely improving from where he was last year, because last year was a disaster for him, let's be honest. But how much? Because the competition is deep, it's thick, and he's got to replicate this look. I don't know how hard he pushed for this peak. I really have no idea. Hopefully, they didn't blow their load here and push too hard where they can't peak again. And if they're going to do the Texas show and then the Olympia, well, that's 2 more peaks. When you peak your body at that level with that much muscle, it doesn't happen every single time the same way like you like it. As much as you try to copy what you did, it never is the same thing. Your body will always look a little bit different. You'll always do things a little bit different because there's so many variables at play. I'm not gonna get into all that, but there's a lot of variables. So that's why you need a good coach like myself to coach you through these things. If you guys need coaching, let me know. Whether you compete or not, it doesn't matter. Lifestyle doesn't matter. Gut problems, blood work, I can help with everything. But this is why you need a good mentor and a good coach to be able to read what you need and what you need to do in order to peak for a show. Hopefully, they got some kinks out, worked out during this prep and preparation and this peak at the Tampa. If they do Texas, they have another opportunity to work on some other things, and then they get to the Olympia. For sure, my prediction is Hunter improves on last year's placing. As far as how much he improves, well, that really all depends. It depends on how everyone else is going to look that day, obviously, who actually ends up being qualified for this show. And then I can tell you whether or not I think Hunter can make that top 5 again. But I feel really good about Hunter making that top 5. I do. I just don't want to say 100% yes or no yet. But if Hunter is able to replicate what he did, he's able to be confident, tweak a couple things, and even get better, he's going to be a pretty big shoe-in for that top 5 this year at the Olympia.